Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, I welcome you to yet another episode of the Ugandan podcast. My name is Brandy Azirwe Valentine, and right here we discuss government programs, policies, and projects just to enlighten you and bring you into the way we run things and just the basic stories of how to do better as a government with the people, for the people, and so much more and so much forth. Of course, today we have an amazing guest. You already know who. Okay, you don't. Let me introduce her. We have Mrs. Geraldine Ssali Busuulwa. She is the Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. And she is here and she's going to talk about digital transformation in trade and industry and so much more. Financial literacy, gold, BUBU by Uganda Build Uganda. But before I break into it, I just want to welcome you. Welcome, Geraldine, to the Ugandan podcast.
Thank you very much for having me on the Ugandan podcast.
Yes.
Nice to be here.
Yes. Please introduce yourself.
Okay, so my name is Geraldine Ssali Busuulwa. I'm the Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. And for our Uganda viewers, omuwandiisi ow'enkalakkalira mu kitongole eky'abasuubuzi, eky'amakolero n'ebitongole eby'obwegassi.
You see, you're actually excellent in all languages. Huh?
Yes, I am.
We're going to move.
It's my mother tongue.
Yeah?
Yes.
Good to know. What did achi?
Nchima ndi muzzukulu wa Mugema.
Hello? Tukwaniriza bannange.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I know you have done so many great things for this country in and out.
Thank you.
That we shall get into as we move on. But for now, we shall get into the discussion. And I want to start by welcoming you from the Buy Uganda Build Uganda Expo that we had a few weeks ago. How did that go?
Actually, it went well.
Yeah.
The BUBU Expo Buy Uganda Build Uganda. This program was birthed in 2019, just before we went into lockdown.
Yeah.
And at the time when it was launched, it was a very successful event.
Yeah.
It was launched by the former Minister of Trade, Mrs. Amelia Chambadde.
Yes.
And it is the whole program of trying to promote Ugandan production of goods and services and making sure that Uganda comes first in all our markets.
Yeah.
And then to promote, of course, local MSMEs. So the lockdown affected the program because obviously nothing was happening in terms of gatherings and SOPs.
Yes.
But in recognition of rebuilding our economy, we thought we would now just pick it up. And we did a very successful event in Kololo.
Yes.
And we were promoting very many small-scale industries as well as the big ones.
Yeah.
So we had people right from producing steel all the way down to people who are producing medicines, herbals, and food and artisans.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a very good way to showcase what Uganda has to offer on the market, and even the quality of our products has improved since then, which increases the sellability.
Yes.
So it's a real thing that we have to continue doing year on year, and I'm hoping that it will grow in terms of showcasing Ugandan production.
I agree.
The Ugandanization of our industries.
That is a nice one. The Ugandanization
of our industry.
Our industry. Yeah, that's true. And I'm also glad. I remember I was following it and I saw you were dressed in African print and you showed up in style for the cause.
Thank
so
you.
Well done.
Yeah, I was dressed in actually purely Ugandan attire, head to toe.
Uh-huh.
Yes, please.
Now you have something to look for on Instagram.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so we get into the next question.
By the way, the other thing which I wanted to say is that 70% of our local production is by MSMEs, the small and medium enterprises.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they contribute a lot, about 38% of our GDP. So they are big.
Yeah.
And then that means that we actually have to promote them into cash economies and make some money.
That's true.
Yes.
I think we actually totally agree because we had the whole innovation powerhouse campaign running and we were promoting innovations because we also realized at the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance that when you start small, you're able to be efficient and also add to the economy because they're already contributing 38%.
It is just the perfect way to go because when you have technology and innovations, it actually reduces cost of doing business.
Yes.
So most people haven't discovered the trick that actually sometimes when you automate your systems from the beginning, you save a lot of downtime in terms of improving your efficiencies in a business.
Yeah.
And you give your business a chance to survive once it has IT and it has reduced costs of production, especially when you've automated. Even however small it is, when you have softwares. I'll give an example of someone who makes cakes.
Yes.
If they had a software that actually reminds the people selling cakes about birthdays, weddings, and all those, and anniversaries,
Yes.
they would actually be sending automatic messages to their customers.
Yeah.
And you don't have to make the phone call. And it's cheaper, it's faster, it's automatic.
Yeah.
So it places the orders and customers can actually come in. Now, all these are ideas people come in with. You can actually incorporate them in your business from the beginning.
Yes.
If it's a standard software, you don't even need to actually do concept costs and everything else. You just buy it off the shelf.
Yeah.
It's cheaper for you.
Yes.
Yeah. So we just have to, it's a mindset change, really.
We are there.
Right.
Yeah. Community mobilization and mindset change.
Exactly.
And so you talked about digital transformation in business, and which brings us to the next question. We have a whole conversation going on. It's NFTs, Bitcoin, they've become a point of dialogue. And what is your take on it as our leader in the Department of Trade?
Trade.
Yeah. Should we trade with Bitcoin?
No, you know what?
And buy NFTs and stuff?
Yes, it's got two sides to it. If
Yes.
you're a risk taker, people who are risk takers and hungry for risk, some others are risk averse. So if you're a risk taker, you go for it. If it pays off, well and good.
Yeah.
It pays big time. If it doesn't, you lose. However, the Bank of Uganda has not yet got itself into regulating Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and NFTs. Yeah. Because obviously the regulator has got to study certain trends.
Yes.
Now, alternative forms of payment like Bitcoin are a world phenomenon that is actually catching fire, especially in Western Europe and as well as in America and other countries like China. Yeah. So for them, they've actually adopted that way of transacting. These are alternative forms of payment, apart from the traditional currency. Yeah. It has its advantages and disadvantages. Yes. I mean, like, for example, when we're COVID, there was a lot of COVID just moving on hard currency. Yeah, yeah. And people were actually getting infections from hard currency. So there needed to be an opportunity to innovate the alternative means of transacting. And people now resorted to mobile money first, but some of them didn't like the cost of transacting on mobile money. And of course, there's a lot of frauds and people were susceptible to these frauds. But inevitably, for example, the telecoms industry, long ago, like 10 years ago or 20 years ago, you'd had to send someone to send a message to Masaka. Yes. But today, and then they brought payphones. They had to place a very big box in the middle of Masaka town for you to make a phone call. You put in coins. Yes. But right now, that was rendered obsolete because people walk past it and you just use your mobile phone to make a phone call. So inevitably, the same thing is going to happen to cash. Technology is going to leave the economy of hard currency behind. So the regulator will have no choice but to move in with the alternative forms of payment. They may drag their feet for the next 1 or 2 years, but it won't be long before they realize that the world is moving. So they will actually also have to jump on board and start regulating some of these currencies, inevitably. Yeah. Technology happens in every industry, and you cannot hold the one of currency. Other countries have adopted it, and they're using it, but we just have to study the trends and mitigate the risks, because everything in life has risks.
True.
Yeah.
I agree. 1 or 2 years, as you drag your feet, we shall still be moving.
The world is going to inevitably move.
Yeah, and I'm glad we try as a country to see what we can do.
The thing is that the government has got a duty somehow to educate and sensitize people about it.
Yes.
Yes. So right now, I'm sure the people who are supposed to be regulating are either understanding the economies that are using it, studying the trends, studying how it works, so that they can actually build the policies and regulations around it.
Okay.
Yeah, because you cannot regulate something you don't understand.
True. Yeah. Okay. So I feel like we have covered this somehow, but let's move. Kindly share on the matter of financial literacy as a person on digital currency. Digital currency is wide now.
Yes.
You can start by breaking it down for us.
digital currency is wide. And I just remember one time in Canada when it had just started catching on. One of the people who invested in that company and was inviting customers actually died with the keys of the of the currency. So people were stuck. Everybody who had invested in there was stuck. So there's this key man risk. Now there's so many risks involved, both on the service provider side and on the side of people who are actually looking to invest in cryptocurrency. There's a lot of education that needs to be done because there's suspicion on either side.
Yes.
So the people who can say, isn't this a pyramid scheme? But if it's not a pyramid scheme, what is it? I mean, this money that just disappears. And because in our tradition and cultures, traditionally, you want to touch money and be able to keep it somewhere in a mattress. But a cryptocurrency, you cannot. So people are always suspicious about, but supposing I wake up and it's disappeared. I mean, am I rich or not?
Am I going to go to the market and say, I'm going to pay you using some currency I have somewhere?
And then the service provider is wondering, are these systems working? Are the databases for my customers working? Because before I know it, the host has somehow done something in the back end, which makes me lose money. And before I know it, I'll be a virtual bank that's closing. So the sensitization is very important. But the people who must take the lead is government, because ultimately they are regulators of any alternative forms of payment. And so far, Bank of Uganda has issued a lot of adverts about we are not regulating cryptocurrency, deal with it at your own risk. But as I said, that is not going to last long because the world is actually going to find you and move and leave you behind. Yes, please.
Now we are in motion. And as we move, the price of commodities has become a whole situation. In Kampala City, just here, a mini survey was conducted on commodities in 5 divisions, and it showed that items such as washing soap, Irish potatoes, maize flour, cooking oil, fuel, and matoke have the price has more than doubled or around there since January. What is kindly going on and how can we fix it?
You know what? It's very simple. We had our own inflation as a country. This inflation really came out of the, COVID costs, where companies were not necessarily trading in your traditional way of, and some of them had not even switched on into new forms of doing business like e-commerce and all. And some of them had employees stuck at home. Some of them had not engineered themselves to provide services at home. Banks sort of jumped on because they had to provide peripherals for their staff to work at home. So very many industries had to re-engineer the way they work, especially if they were brick and mortar based. But now we realize you can actually do business virtually and still sustain production of goods and services.
Yes.
So while businesses are re-engineering themselves, the risk now found us into a war between Ukraine and Russia. So at the very beginning, people were just watching the movie. It's a war somewhere. They didn't realize how it would actually impact on every single economy in the world. One of the things that the basic commodities, we have soap, as you've said, and cooking oil and all those things. The basic ingredients into their production is really cod palm oil. And the biggest producers of cod palm oil, which is now used in soap, used in cooking oil, Indonesia and Malaysia, because between them, they produce about 84% of cod palm oil supply in the whole world. Maybe Brazil does the rest, a bit of it. So that dependency affected material input costs for every single person in the world. And Indonesia and Malaysia started hoarding because they realized that now even China had increased demand of cod palm oil. And China is a very big population.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So when they did that, the whole world now suffered surplus of cod palm oil. And we are a very big net importer of cod palm oil. So the only small production, which is supposed to be from Kalangala, is only still work in progress. And that dependency caused prices to hike because of short supply of that basic ingredient. That, coupled with failure to get in bunkers through the Indian Ocean to come and bring fuel, because Russia, again, is one of the biggest producer of fuel. And not only that, there was also a problem of flight diversion, because most of these things come in by flight. There were no flights flying over the Russian and Ukrainian airspace, bringing in all these things. So when the plane started taking a longer route, it increased the cost of the logistics, bringing the small quantities of cod palm oil in. So all that coupled together just increased the prices. So by about January, we had about 3.7% inflation this year. But by the time we finished at April, we had about 4.7% inflation. So all that is what is actually making, but it's artificial because the war is a temporary phenomenon. But what that does, like COVID, it gave us the opportunity to start doing our own production of these basic ingredients.
Okay, that's the plus side.
Yeah, that is the plus side. So now that is also an opportunity for Uganda to boost our import substitution strategy on industrialization. So we are now saying that why don't we actually produce our own cod palm oil? Yeah. And that is why the government is now looking at areas like Sango Bay, in addition to Kalangala, to now start producing cod palm oil. And this Sango Bay is an area south near Mutukula. Over 2,000 acres have been cordoned off to actually just produce cod palm oil. So that program is actually standing. They launched a market which would be used to actually do the trading of that cod palm oil. So now these are long-term strategies that government is undertaking. And even then, that would even help for us in the region to stabilize those basic ingredients for production.
That's impressive. Mm-hmm. I agree. That's good. So the prices are high for now, but we are going to be better.
Yeah.
Is that a promise you're making?
It has to get better because, Russia cannot fight forever.
Yeah.
Ukraine, how long can you hit Ukraine anyway?
Eventually there'll be nothing.
The only thing is that Russia is benefiting from the war because obviously the prices of its fuel goes up because of the artificial hoarding. Everybody's, fuel goes up. Everything goes up.
Yeah.
And there's artificial hoarding and imported inflation everywhere. So all this, for them, it's a plus on their side because they are making money.
Yeah.
But it's not sustainable.
Yes.
And the war has to come to an end at some point, at which point the world will then stabilize, but we will have had our lessons learned.
Okay. That brings me to the next question. You talked about the import substitution strategy. How do we monetize? So people have been coming up with apps left and right and also making innovations everywhere. Like we are literally in the middle of this. How do we monetize apps and innovations for short term and long term so that we're able to make money just the way different people in different countries have been doing this?
You know what? The biggest challenge we have right now as a government is the need to do patents for all our innovators. Yeah. So therefore, we have to put something in place to patent their innovations and to make sure that they actually benefit from the technology and encourage that kind of service production. If someone developed an app today, if it's not patented, the next person is actually going to steal the idea and bring it to market very quickly, by which point someone is actually, by the time they get any resources to help them even come into production before they patent, it's gone. Yes. So you have people who are not benefiting from innovation.
Yes.
But if we had a patenting act or something to do with protecting intellectual property, officially, that would encourage people to actually innovate and then benefit from their innovations.
Their innovations.
Yes, and bringing ideas. But all is not lost. Yeah. In Uganda, it's a very vibrant community of innovators. We have got government programs like, for example, EGP. Yes. I'm very proud to actually say Ministry of Trade also jumped onto the e-government procurement system.
Yes.
And it was done by Ugandans.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So it's a Uganda Build Uganda program, and government is on it, and it's a very user-friendly interface. All they now need to do is to just buy cloud space for uploading the big documents. But even then, at least the alternative is there for the manual big documents that cannot be uploaded. But the system is very good. It's working. And that's just one good example.
Yes.
But there's so many other innovations. You see innovation villages in Tinda, and the whole innovation community is very vibrant,
yes.
and we must encourage them. So even this thing of Buy Uganda and Build Uganda and promotion of goods, it's not only goods, we're also providing promoting services like IT services. Yes,
okay.
within the East African region and beyond. Yeah.
Your submissions are really great. They must miss you at the Queen Chambers where you used to work.
I think they do.
Yeah, actually, for just commercial break purposes, what were you doing at the Queen's? I know you were working for the Queen. What were you doing?
Yes, no, I was actually the head of the Directorate Management Unit on Corporate Services.
Eish.
Yes, and I was working just below the director level. I was a very big on diversity because I was working for them on Black African woman. Yes. So on diversity as in gender, I was getting a tick for that. Yeah. And then I was Black African trained from Uganda. Yeah. And, and I'm a young mother. So I feel I ticked so many boxes for them. But most importantly, that I earned a very high position. Yes. Where I was actually heading a directorate unit. Yes. Yes. And sometimes we'd get invited to the Queen's birthdays, and it was one of the best things. And also walking past the church rooms every morning going to work. Yes.
The closest I have been to Queen Elizabeth is my TV. So in fact, now that you're here, this is another.
Actually, for me, the highlight was that one time the Pope was given a chance to come and into the drum of the treasury. Because the treasury is like a small postcode on itself. It's like a small country. Yes. Yeah, the building is so massive and it covers a very large postcode. Yeah. So the Pope was given a chance to come and turn in the quadrum of the whole building, and I got a chance to see him. Yes. And it was restricted, but at least, I was there. So for me, it meant a lot. I'm Catholic. Yeah. And it was the best thing that happened to me. And also watching the church rooms every day. Yeah. And going there and sitting in.
Okay. Yeah. Now my goals have changed, but
it was a big privilege.
Yeah, I'm so honored to actually be in your presence. Now I can share a bit of that with you.
Wonderful.
Now, there's so many brands in this country. Some I was not going to say them because I'm giving them promotion for nothing. But there are brands like Nike, Adidas, they all started as startups. And now they're big brands doing big stuff for different people. So how do we move startups, because in our country, to the market, to big markets, to trade on global levels and do so much more?
And to do so much more. Actually, I always give an example of Marks and Spencer. It was a small market stall in Peckham. Yeah. Peckham is like the rundown place of London. Yeah. But these two people actually started Marks and Spencer as a small market stall. Yes. And they grew and, they got small credit facilities and they kept growing. And now they're actually a global brand. Yeah. We have the potential because we have a lot of resources, untapped resources. So in Uganda, what we need to do first thing, like, for example, in Ministry of Trade, improve our quality, the quality of our production, both goods and services. Okay. Because once you have improved the quality, it's the best starting point. That means that your items are sellable. Yeah. Now, once you've improved the quality, then you can actually improve on packaging. Okay. Now, if we are to transcend markets beyond Uganda, in trade, we actually promote, the East African community. So we actually do trade agreements. Yes. So these trade agreements are templates and signed and agreed between countries on both East African region. We have COMESA region. We have AFCFTA, which is the African Free Trade Area. Oh. But what it is that people are not using these routes as such because they don't know. Yeah. They don't know what to do in order to use these routes of trade. Okay. So what is now happening, that is combined with, we are actually chasing for a barcode for Uganda. Yeah. What the barcode does for our Ugandan products is that it improves traceability of our products, and it also improves the quality traceability of our products. So once you get an international barcode for a product, when it is scanned, for example, in Egypt or even in London, like fruits and veg, it will give you the country of origin and the quality, even expiry dates or anything like it tells you about the product because people want to know, and it improves that, that kind of information, and it's readily available and it's soft copy. Yeah. So when we do things like this as government, we are actually helping promote export. Now, packaging. I give an example of these ladies working up in North on shea butter.
Yes.
They actually compress their shea butter and then put it in mineral water bottles for sale. Which means that packaging industry has a lot of work to do.
Yes.
To improve competitiveness of our products on the shelves and also our services, the way we package them. These are some of the things I think that government can do to improve import substitution strategy. So we have the products, we have the services. We just need to, first of all, protect them, that they're ours, and we give them certificates of origin from Uganda by barcoding them. When you barcode, it gives an electronic certificate of origin.
Yes.
It's a by Uganda, so you know it's 70% coming from Uganda or 80%. It even gives you the percentage content of a product.
Oh yeah, so it gives your collaborator room to also...
And then it will even tell you if other raw materials were got from Kenya or any other country, it will tell you that this product is 70% Uganda, 30% Kenyan.
Yes.
So say, for example, if we get rice from Tanzania, when we package it, it will show you that this rice actually came in from Tanzania, but because we processed it a little bit in Uganda, we added the ABCDE to it, it will tell you 10% Ugandan.
Oh, okay.
That is the kind of information. So when we do this at an international scale, we are actually promoting our small local industries to grow. And that is now, we also have a duty to provide a collaborative and enabling environment. You as ICT people now, we need you to make it easy to trace goods and services right from the factory. So you create the IT and IS platforms for production right from the factories.
Yes.
If you provide some of these platforms, people can actually buy cheap because it's locally made by Ugandans.
Yes.
And then cost of doing business is easy and ease of doing business is easy. So as government, we make it easy when we have one-stop border posts, for example, and we increase our touch points on each part of the geographical boundaries of Uganda. If people want to trade with Sudan, Zaire, Congo, and Rwanda, all the way Kenya, if we improve our touch points, airports, lake ports, we have the technologies at each and every single one of those ports. Yes. It makes it easy when it's all digitalized, and this is a smart trade agenda, which we have. So it improves cost of doing business and ease of doing business. Those two indices are very important for us to actually trace as government. So those are some of the things that we are doing to improve trade. Yes. And by the way, this is regional. So the collaboration is regional so that we can actually have compatibility of systems, both soft and hard systems.
Okay.
Yes.
No more. Yeah, but you see the beauty of working in doing regional planning and execution is you reduce the silos.
Exactly.
Yes.
And by the way, last week I was in Kenya for just a day.
Ooh.
And since they had already started on the smart trade agenda, I didn't have any intention of going out to look and buy new softwares because they had already piloted and they were even learning out of their learning curve. They had reduced the cost of those softwares. So for me, all I need to do is to just plug in as a country and get the softwares on board. So I'm going to really be in this. You should get me an office in ICT.
We are rooting for you. When the PS watches this, she'll create some space.
Yeah, you should, because I intend to do a lot of work with digitalization. I've written her a lot of letters. Yeah. She's actually, I think she's now really had enough of me. She's like, you are a priority on my budget. So don't worry, I'm coming. And for me, that is where it all comes in, because once we've plugged in and it's all standard, then we just go.
I agree. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was excited when I told her you were coming onto the podcast, so I think she'll be listening in anytime soon.
Wonderful.
Yeah. What's your favorite sport and what team do you support?
No.
We're fighting gender norms here.
I used to do... Actually, I used to do a lot of badminton.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good.
And table tennis. But when I grew up... I just sort of walk, and I don't do football and all that kind of thing. I'm not exactly athletic.
Yes.
I don't support any football teams, but I'm happy for the people who support Arsenal.
Oh my goodness, don't do it. Champion League says win, hi.
I feel good for them. When they lose, I cry with them. So but I'm not so much into...
So you cried with them when they didn't make it to Champions League?
Yeah, well, I cry with them because my father gets depressed when Arsenal loses.
You and Samson Kasumba are now in the same WhatsApp.
I bought him an Arsenal t-shirt from London and he refused to wear it because he said, my dad.
Yes.
And it had Ssali at the back.
Yes.
And when I bought him the t-shirt, he said, no, if I wear it, people will laugh at me when we lose. So I just keep it somewhere just in case we win. Then I wear it small time and then leave it. But even a cap and a scarf.
You will survive. You will survive. My dad supports Chelsea. Half his car is Chelsea. So when they lose, he's trying to look for other means of transport. Anyway, getting back to the podcast. Gold in Uganda.
Gold.
Where are we mining it? What is its value? And how does it even affect the trade industry and cooperative sector?
Gold sector in Uganda, believe it or not, is big. Yes.
On the scale of 1 to 10.
It's actually very big.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But people are not fully aware because, we don't really understand the sensitivities around it. And it's a precious metal. So it's heavily guarded. Excuse me. But I can tell you that in Uganda, at least Ministry of Energy produced a status report on gold. That is in February 2021. And they have about 1 million ounces being produced in Mushonga.
Okay.
Mushonga is in Bushenyi.
Mushonga.
Yes, they count gold in ounces.
Okay.
And then another place which is almost half of that production, about 500,000, is in a place called Kampono. And also that's in Uganda. Okay. Oh, that is in the western part of Uganda.
So my neighbors.
Yes.
I need to
You're
get
sitting
serious.
on gold and you don't even know.
I need to be serious. Carry on. Tell me more.
But because it's not processed, the processes, are rudimentary on how they get it, but it actually occurs in so many other places. And there's even Buhweju. There's Bushenyi, Uganda, Rubirizi, Mitoma, all those places.
Yeah, Mitoma.
Mitoma has gold. And people actually go and pick that gold.
Okay.
Now, we also have a lot of gold refinery points within Uganda. Yeah. So other people also, like you will see a lot of gold coming in as well as like import. Yeah. Because there's a business of refining gold in Uganda.
Of getting it ready for sale.
Yes.
And for use.
Like refinery. It's like how you actually bring your clothes to a dry cleaner and they wash them for you and bring them back. So Uganda also provides that service. So there's some gold that comes into the country to be refined and then is taken out. Okay. So all that looks like an import-export business, but it's also in addition to our existing domestic gold business. Okay. And I think there's a need to also mainstream it into government because right now there's a lot of unofficial unofficial miners because it's very rudimentary. It's a very rudimentary business. Yeah. But, I was also very shocked. Now, even Kabale has gold.
Now I'm 10%
done. 10% of that gold comes from Kabale.
I come from right next to Kabale.
Yes.
And we have been doing iron ore. No. No. But
so Uganda's gold production, let me tell you. So half of it now comes from a place called Chelima Valley.
Yes.
In Kabale.
Yes.
Then we have Mubende, Itiana, Kasanda, Chivoga. And all the other, the mineralization agenda is very big. So we have 2 big mining leases of gold in Uganda. Yes. And 38 location licenses, all given out for gold. Imagine 38 location licenses. Now, some of those places are like Kabong, Kopoth, Layoro. Do you know that? Kalapata.
I didn't. Yeah.
Some of these places I've never even heard of them myself. But when I read, I was like thinking, this is amazing.
Yes.
Mamoru, Kangpeth, Morilem, Sokodu, Kotome, so all these places are actually in Uganda and they're actually mining gold. Yeah. But the most important thing is this gold can actually be used. In other countries, they use it as gold reserves. Yes. And actually England, they have some of the biggest gold reserves they have in there came from Africa.
I'm sorry, I watched, there's this series I'm watching and the robbers attacked the part with the gold reserve, and it was crazy. But
these people actually, most of the gold came from Africa, both West Africa and even the Queen's, I'm sorry, Queen, but her gold reserve and the private use in the palace and her, everything there came from West Africa. Yeah. So
Africa to the world.
Yes, so we are naturally gifted with all these resources. But what is most important, the statistics that are very important for this discussion. Yes. So Uganda exports right now around 3.4 billion US dollars worth of gold. That's 2020 alone. 3.4. 3.7 billion worth of gold. So it makes it the 28th largest exporter of gold in the world.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious about this. So, and in the same year, it was the first most exported item in Uganda, both. Yeah, on the list of exports.
Yeah.
Yes. So the main destination really, as you could expect, it's UAE.
Yes.
Yeah, they love gold. It's China, it's Hong Kong, South Korea. Actually, the biggest, Emirates is doing about 3.47 billion. South Korea, 1.49 million US dollars. Hong Kong, 28.7K. And then Philippines and the United States. All these people actually are recipients of our gold. Yeah, they buy gold from Uganda.
I want to be walking with my shoulders like this. Like, so what's in your country? We have coffee, we have gold.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And Congo, I think Congo is also a very big place where people actually, they're very big on gold. It's one of their biggest.
Yeah, that's true.
Natural resource. And they are our neighbors. And of recent, they've opened up a trade, DRC trade with Uganda. And we have a border point in Pondwe, which is due for opening about 3 months from now.
Yes.
So I imagine that there's going to be a lot, and Uganda has opted to actually do the roads to ease doing business with DRC. So we are opening up that market line to also improve goods and services, even for natural resources like gold.
Okay. Yes. So I don't even know what to ask after this because I'm still overwhelmed. Right. But I'm so glad. So what do we do to make the most of this?
I think we can, by the way, we have a lot of minerals. It's not just gold. Yeah. So on the industrialization agenda and the whole thing about, and I like the way government is actually looking at all sectors.
Yes.
For industrialization, on processing of resources like minerals, as well as soft resources like fruits and vegetables and agriculture produce. So what government has done, for example, on agriculture side, is to introduce the parish development model.
Yes.
That one is a very important program of government, and it is supported by the agriculture industry innovations and programs that government is deploying, as well as now the industrialization. So what we really need to do is to, for us as government, enable those industries to grow by enabling them and giving them good services. Yes. Okay. So for me, it's a good starting point. If we are going to support those industries, we provide the industrial parks. And the last time we were discussing in Mbarara, we were thinking of introducing the turnkey industrial parks, where the investors come in, they find a ready park which is ready with the setup. You just bring your machinery, and we're providing you with the credit facilities. If banks can partner or the financial services can partner with the industry, they give the investor an environment which is ready to use. Yeah. And that can actually drive innovations. And some of these are private equity, and they're Ugandans. They team up, they do a consortium of funding, and they can actually fund some of these innovations in Uganda. So the mobilization of funds to drive industry and small MSMEs, that is the best. And also removing artisans like these, the ones in Zambia. Some people actually go there and pick all these sofas and furniture and put on labels coming from other countries and sell them at 10 times the price. So if we get these people from Zambia who are doing all this furniture and wood and put them in an industrial park where they can actually apply themselves and export them. Yes. And we zone them out as export zones. Yeah. These people can actually sell their furniture abroad, and it competes against the Chinese furniture coming in. Yeah. We just need to organize ourselves in a way that works for the lower Ugandan. Yeah.
Thank you. That is advice that I think we all need. And as you spoke, you said something about the parish development model. Our hot cake as a country at the moment. Yes. What is the role of MTIC, the Ministry of Trade, in the parish development model?
Yeah, so government is delivering together on this parish development model. Every single ministry, MDA, they all have something to do. Yeah. And for the Ministry of Trade mainly, for example, Pillar 1, it's got 7 pillars, that model. And it's based on a parish, and it's based on a homestead and a household in a local community within a parish. Yeah. So it's just geared and pointing to giving them some money which will allow them to produce, but to produce for local markets as well as external markets.
Yes.
So if, for example, for us here, we need to register these circles because this money is actually being given through circles. So if you look at now Pillar 1, what is being produced? What is being produced is really coming from agriculture, production, even cooperatives. And once the agriculture have done their bit, we now do the warehousing, if it is food security or transportation. If it is, say, for example, production of fish or whatever, we can actually provide freezer units to, yes, so that even if it's milk, preservation, so that it can stay and it's sellable. And removing cytophans for some of this agricultural production. Now, once we do the
what?
Cytophans, that's anything that is inhygienic for food.
Thank you.
You clean it, cleaning the food and making it edible.
Yes.
And also making sure that it attains certain standards. The barcodes that I was talking about, they actually give standards. Yes. Okay. So it tells you that this food has actually been processed to a certain standard. So once you've met those standards, for us now, it's very easy to store that food, transport that food through our border points, wherever, if people are actually taking this food out, and to sell it through our export promotion. Okay. So for the standards, we use UNBS. So that is Pillar 1, storage, processing, and marketing. So that is the first one. And then we have other pillars where we are contributing, of course, because as I said to you, we are doing the infrastructure. So that infrastructure is the warehousing under the Uganda Warehouse Authority, which is looking at warehouses across the region, because Uganda also owns warehouses like in Kenya, where we actually export food. So the local warehouses, together with those outside the country, we regulate and make sure that we are storing safely and regulating food security. Okay. Even for the immigration community, we have a lot of people coming from other countries where they come and we actually store for them food. So refugees is what I mean.
Yes, I understood it.
I don't want to use the word, but it has some stigma that comes with it. But we do a lot of food storage even for refugees, so that government of Uganda is able to regulate and provide food for those refugee centers and stuff like that. It's very big. In the Prime Minister's office, there's a whole program of that, and the warehouses actually plays a very big role across the country for these programs.
Actually,
even the UN.
Actually, the Right Honorable Nabanja takes that issue very seriously.
It's a very serious issue. That's why I'm telling you that it's a collective delivery of the program. Yes. And then, of course, something to do with circles and monitoring and evaluation of their performance, which is where your software comes in. So we have 11,954 parishes that are going to be delivering this parish development model to improve the cash economies, bring people into middle income status, at least so that they are able to earn an income for them to provide the basics of life, the education and medical services. Exactly. So if we have some of these, we want to see how, 1 year down the line, how have these circles performed in terms of delivering the financial services and the financial support on the ground within the parish to drive this agenda. So we shall be monitoring and evaluating with the help of your digitalization.
PDMIS, by the way, our system is the ideal Mbegaku ground.
Exactly.
We are on
so
ground.
All the enterprises that are going to be profiled by the Ministry of Agriculture, all that is going to be coming into our monitoring and evaluation system, because we actually the resident custodians of circles within government. So that is it, more or less. That's our role.
You guys are doing you're doing well. You're here and there and what you're like.
Yeah, we're doing the registrations as well. So that's pillar 1, 2, and 3. And it's like we're finding ourselves on almost every pillar, but mainly the lead ones are 1, 2, and 4.
You guys must be on a speed dial, eh?
and 7 as well, by the way.
Okay. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we also have the database for all the circles.
We should just give you the Parish model. We retire, we leave it for Ministry of Trade.
Well, no, we can't actually do it alone. We can't.
Actually, that's true.
So the key to the success of this model is the collaboration ability of government.
True.
It's going to test our ability to collaborate, to deliver service collectively. Yes.
And you know, just as this is just for your information, at the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, we work in cooperation at all the time. So, and also our PS always says we work better together. So always. Now as a whole government, we're going to do well.
You're going to do well.
We are going to do well, people. Don't worry. So as we move closer to the end of this podcast, stroke episode, what word do you have for different innovators, to the young people out there and citizens at large?
You know what? For me, this actually goes very deep. Because as a country, we have a lot of potential, but we have to organize ourselves strategically in a way that can work for us. Now, I start with the education systems that we have for both formal education, tertiary education, and everything. There are systems that were left by our colonizers behind, but mainly they are formal in such a way that we do a lot of cram work and we produce job seekers. We have to re-engineer ourselves into education systems and skilling systems that point to entrepreneurs. And if you look at the general the index on entrepreneurship in Africa, yes. Uganda is like the 28th best country in entrepreneurship. It's called the GEM Index.
Yes.
And that shows that Ugandans actually, out of failing to get jobs, they are resorting to doing their own businesses.
Yes.
Now, the success is now the other thing. How do we manage to train these people to be able to succeed in these businesses, that in the first year of formation of a business, they succeed?
Yeah.
So it's like 84% of our population is actually private sector. Small and medium enterprises,
yes.
Which means that we must engineer ourselves to support these people. The only challenge we have is that we need to demystify things like taxation.
Yes.
So people think that once they formalize their businesses, that they will now start to pay taxes. So they fear, so they remain small. So you remain a small man index, a small man mentality, because you don't want to register your business. Once you register it in URSB and you tender for business, government tenders and everything, you will have to pay taxes.
Yes.
And then you lose the opportunity in tapping into the big contracts because you've decided to remain small deliberately.
For the fear of the unknown.
For the fear of the unknown, the fear of paying taxes. No, paying taxes is good.
I mean, that's how some people get paid.
If your business is profitable and you're going to make money and grow, you'll have to pay taxes and formalize your business. The trick is in getting marketing companies to help you market your goods and services to improve your profitability as a business so that you can survive, tap into big business, go global,
yes.
transcend boundaries. You cannot transcend boundaries when you're actually small.
Yeah, but also, please let them know that taxes are used for schools,
yes,
for hospitals.
Yes. Well, no, they know, but sometimes it's a mutual trust. It's a trust thing. So we have to actually demystify some of these things. As government, we have a duty to provide the enabling user-friendly environment so that young people can actually not fear taking advantage of these services and having the confidence to actually challenge where the services are not provided.
Yeah.
So we have to actually get into that space.
Okay.
So it's mutual. Government has a duty to educate and sensitize and also provide the right education systems and skilling. Even private sector does a lot.
Yes.
And actually plays a bigger role than government, because a lot of government schools and tertiary institutions have been introduced. So now once you have that, people will be encouraged to actually produce in themselves, give them information. Now, even the information portal, that's the other thing which I had missed. There is a trade portal which is provided.
Yes.
So people don't know about this one. It gives you information on what goods and services you can produce for what markets.
Yes.
The licenses required, the kind of paperwork that you need. It gives all that information for every sector, every product, whatever is required, but people don't know about it. So as government, we have a duty to provide all this information.
True.
And then, of course, to sensitize people about it and get them to gain their confidence. So that is, for me, the way to go. There is no rich person who is an employee on the Forbes rich list. I've always said it. If you look at the top 100, top 1,000, top 10,000, nobody is an employee. Maybe Goldman Sachs, but even then, those guys, they are not the richest in the world. The richest people in the world are entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Yes. So we must get our people in there.
There's someone in this room who is on the Forbes list.
Really?
I will show you the person when we are done here. Don't look.
Is he married?
Yeah, but I'll tell you all those other things later. But there's someone.
For that reason, I'm Miss Sally.
Yeah, you're Miss. You're not Mrs.
No.
Yeah, that was a joke,
Yeah,
but the net worth is your network. Yeah, but also, thank you. That's very good advice. And young people need to embrace all these things that are available.
Much as I'm serving government, I also have my own small businesses and I pay taxes.
Yeah?
Yes, I pay taxes, and that's the only way I had to grow, because I had to now tender for business.
Yes.
You have to do the registrations. You have to show that you've been in business and you've been filing your returns on a regular basis, and it's moving. So even if I left work, I'm not so frightened about, I'm just going to start up.
Yeah.
I'll just slowly just sort of jump into my little business and pick it up. Yes.
See?
And it provides you security and a safety net. Yes.
Even the permanent secretary of Ministry of Trade pays her taxes. This is nice.
Yes, I do.
I'm also going to start a business. My business has been
a side hustle. You do a side hustle. We encourage that a lot.
I do cash payments only. Yeah. No, I'm joking.
It's like I am the chairperson of the All Girls Association as well. And so we have this program of 100 girls, 100 hustles.
Yes.
It's promoting all the girls who are actually doing their own businesses alongside or whatever they are working.
Yeah.
And some of them are actually doing only those businesses and they are successful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. As a high school, you're going to pay for ad space. But also, as we come to an end, what's your favorite song?
I don't have a favorite song.
Okay, what's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie, John Travolta has got Swordfish. That movie, I can actually watch it over and over.
Yeah.
With Halle Berry and starring those two, it is amazing.
Wow. Yes. You're actually a very cool person. And for that reason, I'm going to let you go.
But for the song, it's mainly Andre Bocelli, The Sun.
Oh, actually.
Yeah. It's a beautiful song.
You're really cool. You're really cool, guys. Certified. But anyway, I hate to be a bearer of bad news, but we have come to the end of this podcast. Are you sad?
No, well, nah. I can always come back.
Oh, yeah.
I have a lot, because I have to update people on how we've moved.
Yes.
Yes. So 1 year in, I'll have to come in and tell you, how we did on the PDM, Parish Development Model.
Oh, yes.
I have to come in and tell you how we've moved on BUBU. And so many other government programs that we are doing at Trade.
Yes.
I have to come and tell you how the smart trade went with Kenya. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we are signing, MOUs with them.
So you're even giving us more intel.
Yes.
We're going to keep you, but now
I have to come back.
Yeah, but thank you for joining us today. It has really been exciting and so much fun and great. There has been so much to learn. Yeah. And I hope everyone takes it with a piece of enthusiasm and use this information for their good. Next, we're going to have a poem by Enjo Kavera, and it's about Njabala. It's a very nice poem. When you listen to it, you'll get the intel. And I've been your host. My name is Brandy Azire Valentine. What are your handles so that people can follow you? No stalking, just following.
Twitter handles.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think I have Geraldine Ssali.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can find her there and communicate some more. Yeah. And we've been your people today. Enjoy. Share this podcast with your next person or anyone or your people in your WhatsApp groups and your socials. Let it go far and wide so that we can spread all this knowledge to everyone who needs it. Peace. For God and my country. Bye.
Spare yourself some time and listen to my rhyme. Once upon a time, down by the river we go, tolling sanza mokonjabala, abakazi bali mabati, This is how you dig, deep and with grace, planting seeds of elegance. Years from now, the gust of the wind and the branches of the trees will mention your name in all of the land in Jabala. You dig like you're making love to the earth, becoming one with the richness of the soil. You dig like the nourishment of your people lies in the palms of your hands, because it does. Tolin sanza mukonjabala, abakazi bayera bati. You pass the broom across all corners of the room in swift strokes of integrity. So when your husband returns from work, you will stand out from all the other three, but this goes beyond the confines of your compound and the four walls of your master bedroom. When I teach you how to sweep, I am teaching you how to lead. So years from now, when you assume positions in government, become a so-called member of parliament, there'll be no need to spend thousands of Uganda shillings on anti-corruption bodies, because my Njabala, she sweeps with integrity. Njabala, abakazi bafumba bati. Your kitchen is an emblem of beauty. In it, you prepare continents of spices and serve a revolution for dinner. I choose you, Njabala, because you are the only one who can play with knives and not get cut. Only you can play with fire and never get burnt. What other leader is there to lead armies to victory? I choose you. Tolin sanza mukonjabala, abakazi bali mabati. Njabala, 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 abakazi bayera bati.